Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Today is Monday, October 3rd, and this episode is brought to you by my fantastic sponsor, El Cajon Harley. You got to get yourself a motorcycle. Get one now, man. Go to El Cajon Harley, located in Southern California. I don't care where you're going to get your motorcycle. Don't go anywhere but El Cajon Harley. I'm telling you, I don't care what state you live in, what country, go down to Southern California. Check them out online, elcajonharley.com. Give them a call, 619-444-1123. Ask for my bae. Ask for my bae. What's up, bae? Ask for my boy, Greg Riley. Do not miss out. Right now, they've got an incredible 2017 selection on the floor with the brand new Milwaukee 8 motor on the baggers. I rode this thing, man. It is unbelievable, the power and torque of the brand new motor. I can't believe how great. Harley hit it out of the park. Total home run. Get yourself a new bike. You can trade your old bike in or maybe just fix up your bike. Go to El Cajon Harley. Hit them up online or on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. They got all kinds of motorcycles down there right now. Also, you might need to get some new tires. They will not be beaten. They got the lowest tire prices guaranteed. They will not be undersold on the tires. Get in there. El Cajon Harley. Show them that you love their support for Let There Be Talk. Let's do it. All right, guys, here it is. It's Monday. Just got in from Edmonton, Canada. Week of shows. And it was a rough one, man. It's been a long time since I was out on the road, and it was rough. It's funny because it's like as much as I loved getting crazy and partying when I was growing up, I just think about it now of like, I mean, you get a couple drunk crowds and wow, it can make you feel horrible out there on the road. You're by yourself out there, and it was rough, man. Some Del Raisers came out. That was cool. Some of them were drunk. It's a bummer, man. If you're going to come see me, you got to remember it's not a fucking rock concert. It's a comedy show. Guys are screaming and yelling. Oh, man. I tell you, man, I thought I was going to quit this weekend. I was like, I'm out. It was brutal, man. To say it. I love comedy. I've done over 3,000 shows, and it's funny when something comes along and it can just take the fucking wind out of your sails, man. And I love the support, and I love people coming out and all that, but whew, I'm not gonna lie, man. It was brutal. Enough of that, though. Let's get into some good stuff. Great fucking guest today. I'm so happy I grew up in the Bay Area. When I was young, there was such a fucking a melting pot of killer music going on in San Francisco. It's unbelievable when I think about how lucky I was, what I grew up around, and how lucky I am to have some of these people on the podcast. And my guest today is no exception, Mr. Roger Joseph Manning Jr. Played in a little band called Jellyfish. Maybe you don't know him, maybe you do. I find him a lot like, a great indie film. Super cult following. People love this band. Either they love him or they don't know him. I don't know anybody that says I hate him. They just don't know him. It's funny, too, because I didn't really get too much into them on the first record because I was just kind of like, oh, yeah. I mean, they had some hits and stuff, but when the second record came out, Spilt Milk, it fucking changed my life. I played the thing every day for like a year. I went all over and saw them live with my buddy Fletch, and we just were mesmerized by the incredible harmonies and insane songwriting and just the sound of the record and the how killer they were live, singing live, playing live. 3-4 part harmonies, just unbelievable. They got together in 89, broke up in 94. They were here and gone. And man, I would love to see them play again one day. Just like a small reunion, even a one-off gig or something. If you don't know them and you're into like Queen, the Beach Boys, you know, incredible songwriting, you're into that kind of stuff, man, you're gonna wanna tune into this band right away. Spilt Milk, it just fucking knocked me out. The tunes, everything about it. You're going to love this. You're going to love this guy, man. He is the real deal. So happy to have him on today on Let There Be Talk. And hit him up when we're done. Hit him up online and say thank you for the incredible music he's made over the years. Before I get to the episode, just a couple things here. Going to say, let's see, going to New York City. New York City. Going to be there from October 12th through the 18th. I'll be at the Stand every night, and on the 18th, I'll be at Gotham and the Stand. So I'll be at the Stand every night. New York City, come out. Let's rock. What else I got? This week, I'm going to be at the Comedy Store, a little desk squad on Wednesday, and the store Friday, Saturday. I'll also be helping my boy Ricky Rackman host these Cat House 30-year anniversary shows this week. They're sold out, but if you're there, I'll be there. I might even jump on stage and sing a little AC/DC. We don't know who's playing yet. He's keeping it all secret, so that'll be pretty fucking cool. What else we have here? Sacramento Punchline just got added November 10, 11, 12. I'm coming to Sacramento. Tickets are on sale now on the website, punchline.com. And then December 15th, 16th, 17th, I'll be in San Francisco at the Punchline. Looking forward to that. And then it looks like New Year's Eve, I'll be with Big J. Okerson at American Comedy Co. So that's some upcoming shows. I love all you guys. Thank you for the support. I'm glad you loved that St. Paul and the Broken Bones episode last week. What a fucking record. I've probably played it 1,000 times already. And also, this episode is brought to you by Catatonic, my sticker people. You've seen my stickers. You love them. You need any kind of artwork done. Don't sleep. If you're in a band, a small business, you're a comedian, or maybe you just like to stick stickers on fucking, you know, your bus ride home or stop signs or anything. I see stickers everywhere. It's amazing how many stickers are around L.A. That'd be an insane documentary. Just somebody going around counting stickers. Anyway, Catatonic's the people that made them. They are your one-stop art shop. Catatonic.com. Cadatonic. They got an Instagram. They got a Twitter. They make stickers. They make toys. Maybe you want to have a custom-made doll of yourself made. A little 3D toy. Maybe you need some flyers, some posters, any kind of art. These guys can do it. They've been hitting a home run with my stickers for over 2 years. Catatonic.com. Hit them up. Tell them you heard about it right here on Let There Be Talk. Let's get into the episode right now. This is my man, Roger Joseph Manning Jr., Jellyfish. Candles lit. All right, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. Introduce yourself. Great guest today.
My name is Roger Joseph Manning Jr.
It's so funny because I had Taylor on, and I was thinking, like, to me, when I think about the Bay Area, I think about some really key records. One being like Faith No More, Angel Dust, Metallica, Master of Puppets, and then Jellyfish, Spilt Milk. You know, when you put that in, it really gives the juxtapose of the Bay Area and how fucking fantastic it was for music, right?
Yeah, my experience not only as a kid, but well into, well, you know, probably the early 90s, mid 90s, things started to change, but it was so colorful, and so it was still a very, very vital music scene. And, you know, along with those bands that you named, we were heavily influenced and inspired by another up-and-coming group at the time, American Music Club.
Oh, of course.
Mark Eitzel and Voody and that camp they were on the other side of town doing their thing and completely, like, turning us on, like, going, oh, my God, you know, you can do that, too. And we borrowed their pedal steel player, Bruce, for the song Russian Hill.
Amazing.
As a matter of fact. But we were longtime fans and very happy to grow up in that community. And I just took it for granted. I was like, every major city in the U.S. has this much incredible music happening, which was only kind of the case.
It's so bizarre when you think about, because I love all kinds of music. I mean, when you look at what we had there, like that Counting Crows first record to me is a masterpiece of songwriting. Then you got, you know, Red House Painters, you know, then you have that whole Hate Street thing going on later on, like Sea Hags, and
Loved
you just
them.
had so much flavor of shit, you know, Mr. Bungle, Buck Naked, you know, just any kind of weird fucking shit.
And the Bare Bottom Boys.
Right?
That was a thing. Yeah, it was, you know, and that's, it was so funny because people always tried to associate Jellyfish with some kind of scene. The closest they could get was, you know, some hearkening back to late 60s Flower Power, whatever, which we had nothing to do with. Now, did that music, the music of Jefferson Airplane and those groups inspire us? Absolutely.
Yeah. But
no more or less than anything else. And we were excited at the time by, like you said, Sea Hags, Red House Painters, this huge variety of stuff that was going on.
Hate Street was really booming at the time,
There were 4 or
too.
5 clubs I was going to every other night.
Unbelievable. When you think about it, like the San Fran had these scenes, and they were just like, it was like different cities. It's like, we're going up to the Hate tonight. We're going to go to the I-Beam. We're going to go to Night Break. We're going to go to, what was that one that was the movie theater later on across the street?
I don't remember. I remember I-Beam and Night Break, of course.
Yeah, and there's one across Full Moon Saloon or something like that, or something like that. Anyway, and then you'd have, you know, Broadway with the Stone and Mabuhay Gardens and all that. And then you got the Fillmore, and then you got Bottom of the Hill out there, and then you got North Beach with the Grant and Green blues scene. And
by the time I was old enough to come to the city, the only thing that really wasn't as vibrant anymore was kind of this really colorful, arty, post-punk, new wave scene, like at the Kabuki.
Right.
That had kind of dried up.
Yeah.
That was like the generation right above me. And I was really bummed that I kind of missed that because I would hear legends about like all the crazy... and very much down here in L.A. too. Like,
Kabuki Theater?
Yeah.
I saw... by the time I was really hitting it, it turned into a metal house. I saw Merciful Fate there on the Don't Break the Oath
Death
tour.
Angel.
Death Angel
Exodus.
open. Yeah.
All those, you know, all those bands. I grew up very much in high school with my brother. We were
Chris.
Tim.
Oh,
actually,
Chris.
our youngest brother.
Oh, got you.
Who didn't go into music.
Yeah.
Chris obviously was in Jellyfish with me, but Chris kind of sat this one out. Me and my younger brother got into punk and wave together and skated together, and so naturally out of that, all of the thrash metal was born. You know, with bands like Slayer kind of leading the way, and they were in Suicidal. But I loved the Bay Area bands that were doing that. So we'd go to the Omni in Oakland.
Oh, absolutely. I used to book it.
Oh, my God. We saw Guar there together. Just like a lot of...
I saw that Guar show.
Yeah.
I never forgot it because one of the greatest things I ever saw that was so edgy for the time, the guys came out dressed in... milk cartons.
Yes.
And they did the song, Have You Seen Me Lately? And it had the kidnapped children on it. Oh my God.
Yeah,
and they're spraying the whole club green.
If you're going to bring... Right. It was Green Jello? Yeah, my friend Jim Lespiza was one of the founding members and original drummers. And I saw them many times before I had even met him. And I've even since met the gentleman Gary who used to come out and do his Anthony Kiedis song.
Wow.
Anyway, you're conjuring up so many incredible memories for me. All that is to say, all that stuff inspired Andy and I, and eventually the rest of the guys, for what we wanted to do. And everybody was like, well, what scene are you part of? And I'm like, we're not part of any scene. I mean, it's like you just enjoy yourself and dabble in whatever you want to in San Francisco because it's that colorful. And there is no power pop scene necessarily. And there was
Brandon Benson. He came in like.
Did he move to the city?
He did later.
I was already out of there. I worked with Brendan briefly.
It's weird when guys come to the city and all of a sudden they're the big flavor. All of a sudden, boom, you're hearing about him. You're like, who? But he hit the bottom of the hill and was
there was a duo called the Muskrats that weren't very
absolutely.
famous. Remember them? They were
absolutely.
out of Berkeley. We almost hijacked their bass player, but two brilliant songwriters. They harmonized like the Everly Brothers, and the world will never know who they are.
Yeah.
Except for locals. We would go see them and go, oh my God, we need to write songs this sing-along, this catchy.
Yeah.
Just a lot of local stuff inspiring us.
That's incredible that it was such a melting pot for Jellyfish because when I listen to it, of course, I get the obvious stuff of Queen and Beach Boys and, Everly Brothers and heavy harmonies and stuff. But to think that you're out going and seeing thrash metal is exactly who the fuck I am. Because it was the Bay Area. One night you're seeing Exodus, the next night you could see Jerry Garcia solo, and the next night you could see Four Non Blondes or something, you know what I mean? Or Stone Fox. Or
Stone Fox. I love Georgie.
Right?
Super talented.
Fucking crazy.
And she was dating the guy from Maximilian's Motorcycle Club.
Exactly. So, I mean, the melting pot was unbelievable with race. And also, it was zero racist stuff, no homophobia, no genres of I'm metal only. There was a small tinge of that with the speed metal scene, but even Metallica was going to see Jellyfish or Four Non Blondes or whatever. You know what I mean?
I remember a friend of mine taking me to see at this really small bar that had a little itty bitty stage. This group. God, what were they called now? Well, do you remember House of Wheels, first of all?
Yeah.
They rocked very hard. They were the closest I was going to get to a current Alice Cooper at the time.
Yeah.
And there was an all-girl group that were called it was, I want to say Touch Me Hooker or something. That's not who
I remember that band now. Yeah. Touch Me Hooker, yeah.
Anyway, he took me to see this all-girl group, and they were this beautiful... almost Cocteau Twins, really kind of melodic goth, kind of pop goth. And I was like, who is this? Where are they? And they were all really cute. And he's like, don't even think about it. They're all gay.
Yeah.
And that was San Francisco. I was like, I don't care. Their songs are amazing.
Yeah, right.
And you reminded me of MCM and the Monster.
Oh, yeah.
Who, to me, were one of the first post-Beastie Boys, just more heavy hip-hop with rock-infused. They were the first rock bands I've ever seen with a DJ.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in 88, I want to say.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that.
It's amazing. I'm so lucky to grow up there because, wow, when I talk music now, this show, I think is part of the success of it is how deep I can go or travel around on a conversation. People are like, wow, man, I can't even believe you fucking know that band. And I'm like, it just seemed to me like everyone should know these bands, And that really was how it comes down to with Jellyfish. Of course, everybody has that band. They go, this band should have been huge. But when I think about Jellyfish, there's no way it's going to be huge because it's almost too good. It's culty, and it has that songwriting that you cared. Let's go the extra mile. Let's layer instruments. Let's layer vocals. Let's do shit that it's going to go way over people's heads, Well,
it is all timing, and there's no qualms about it. It's all we ever wanted to do. We aspired to our heroes, and whether that was Steely Dan or Fleetwood Mac or Thomas Dolby or... the Queen. These were bands that wrote 3.5-minute pop classics.
Yeah.
Simple sing-along melodies.
I mean,
But the
Partridge
production,
Family.
you know, Partridge Family.
My best friend is a Partridge Family song. There's no, you know what I mean? It's exactly like I could see Cassidy singing that all day long. You know?
Yep. And whether you're talking about those records or the Monkees or, gosh, I don't know. I mentioned Cocteau Twins a second ago. Even some of my favorite synth pop. Human League and
Gary Newman.
Gary Newman. My God, all the stuff that we're talking about is the production, and what they did in the studio is very key. It's all about creating these environments for the listener, taking you out of whatever you're doing and transporting you. So, Gary Newman can transport you to Mars for 3 minutes.
Yep.
Fleetwood Mac's going to take you into some, into the wild hot tub cabin of Sausalito or something.
Yeah, with a mustache and a plate of blow. You know what I mean? I feel that when I put on Tusk. Yep. I'm like, this is cocaine. Same with even Eagles,
Yeah, or a good Sly Stone record.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Another Bay Area.
So many great stories. That Sly Stone, man.
And that's all we aspired to. So for us, it was, let's write catchy songs that are sing along that we can't get out of our head, and then when we're in the studio, we aspired to that great kind of musicianship. Very heavily orchestrated and arranged, a Steely Dan type of production.
Right.
And that's all we went for. Now, by virtue of that, it was very much out of place with what was happening in the early 90s with grunge dominating.
Right.
And it's not like we were giving the finger to grunge. We loved a ton of grunge bands.
Yeah.
In fact, I can remember we were afraid to play Seattle for our first time because we thought we were going to get beat up. We're like, oh, they're rough and tough here.
Nope, they're just like here.
Oh, man. One of our best shows of that tour was in Seattle.
Yeah.
They were one of the loudest crowds singing along, couldn't get enough of us. And we were like asking our manager, how quick can we get back here? Because obviously they get it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly like San Francisco. There was a melting pot up there, and that's why all those bands hit. We're talking, Green River, Mother Love Bone, early Soundgarden. They were all so different. Nirvana, everyone, and they were all geared around songs and a scene, that they not like a scene, but like friendships and stuff, And that's how San Fran felt to me always. Everybody went and saw each other's bands.
It was so familial. It was such a great camaraderie, and it was because everybody's rooting for everybody, and what was encouraged was being yourself, being different. I think that really was an extension of the climate. There were a lot of what's the term? Runaways, people coming from other communities. They either went to Manhattan or they went to SF.
Yeah.
You went to LA first and foremost if you kind of had that illusion of stars in your eyes. I'm going to be somebody, I'm going to make it on the big screen. Or you deliberately wanted to make, very much kind of Paula Abdul pop records of the day. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's kind of what magnetized an LA person.
Yeah.
San Francisco and New York were almost competing at that time with who could be the most avant-garde, edgiest, most original.
Totally.
Most arty, cutting edge in the face of a post-punk world.
That's so true.
It was a beautiful, beautiful time.
It really was. Now, so you guys are in a band together before Jellyfish, you and Andy, and then you guys leave because you're writing songs, and the guy doesn't want the tunes, and you guys, fuck it, we're out of here, and let's start writing tunes. How, because when I listen to these tunes, they're so awesome. When you guys start writing together, how are you coming? Was there other flavors at first, or was it immediately like, oh, this sounds like Jellyfish?
I think what started happening was, we were throwing piles of unfinished ideas at each other, and we started to see really quickly that there was, a bell curve, if you will. There was a pile in the middle that was starting to have this obvious sound to it. A sound that pleased us, so let's concentrate on those in particular.
Right.
Let's see if we can't get an album's worth of material that sounds like it belongs on the first record, not without trying to tie our hands and not explore the genre variety, but that it could, because again, at the time we were listening to McCartney Ram or a record like that, for example, where. In a lot of the Wings records, he dabbles in a lot of different styles and feels, and this song's dancey, and this song's really introspective. I mean, which was an extension of the Beatles. They did that too. So it was. I mean, I guess the only criteria at the time was, does this have an an emotional sentiment to it? Does it evoke sorrow? Does it evoke cheer? Does it make you want to cry? Does it make you want to dance? And can you not get that melody out of your head? And I think Andy and I, spending time with each other, knew right away, okay, this is a good hook we should develop. This is an okay hook. Let's sit this one over on the shelf and maybe not come to it right away. And it's at a time in our early 20s where we just can't write them fast enough because we're just, what do we want to say to the world? What do we want to, both as individuals and as collaborators? And so, it wasn't too hard to realize that there was a sound we wanted to focus on and make a bigger deal out of that.
Now, you guys start writing the tunes and stuff. To me, everybody knows back then you would have to put a band together and develop a draw, and then A&R guys slowly hear about you and come up and see you and stuff. To me, it just seemed like you guys just came out of nowhere, record deal, and next thing you know, you're on MTV. Did you play gigs before? Because I didn't know about you until the records were out. Did you play gigs around town? Were you out like, showcasing?
No,
How the fuck did you get a record deal?
Not as Jellyfish. I don't remember. I think I had read an article somewhere about one of my favorite groups at the time who was doing really well. I don't remember who it was, or it might have been like Tears for Fears or something when they were a duo when they started out. And in the article, it talked about how they didn't waste their time trying to gain a local following. They understood that we need to present the record company with songs, and we can do that just the two of us. And that's what landed them their record deal. And I don't remember who this was, but it just spoke volumes to me. And at the time, we obviously didn't have a guitarist and a bass player.
Right.
But we had determination, and there was equipment that had just kind of come out. I had a 8-track quarter-inch that I borrowed money from my dad to purchase. It was used, and I still couldn't afford it. And Andy had taken some of his savings and bought the new M1 keyboard, which had an 8-track sequencer. So we figured, well, between 8 tracks of sequencing and 8 tracks of tape, we should be able to come up with something. Unless we're, if we can't, we're morons because we've got the tools here. Let's go for it. Not having any engineering skills whatsoever. We just jumped into it.
And no YouTube or anything to go on and learn.
It's just trial and error.
You're just and the manuals were so $3 back then. You're looking through a manual like, I don't know what this is.
I can remember going over to his house to work and us spending hours looking up something in a manual. All I want to do is get the song on tape, but can't yet. Got to figure out how to work this damn gear.
Fuck.
And it was just, it was like a bummer, but we got to do our time. And now in the Beatnik Beach group, which was kind of like a great stepping stone for all of us.
Right.
We were able to step into a proper recording studio. Once it was B-level studios, but you got to see the buttons the guys was pushing,
right.
And how he went about getting a take, and advice and suggestions and how to sing onto a microphone. So we weren't complete novices, but there was a lot of trial and error till it sounds good. And even then it was I think that's good enough, and you move on. So the whole point was we've got to impress an A&R guy with the quality of the material. We always felt, because we had so many friends' bands, and even in Beatnik Beach, it was all about gaining a local following. And we saw how, seriously, unless you came out and, were naked and painted in Dayglow paint, and were playing the Chili Peppers were the epitome of that. The Chili Peppers were one of the best live bands to see between 83 and 87. You didn't go and buy a Chili Peppers record.
You just went and saw them live. Yeah, you just saw them live.
It's you didn't even know if they had songs. You just went. I just had the time of my life because they were exploding in that club, and they made 300 or 3,000 people go berserk.
Yeah.
And of course you'd want to go see them again, and of course they'd come through town, and you had a following. We were, we'd spend a lot of time as fans of jazz music. Well, it was as a jazz musician, it was fun to see your heroes play, but that's not. They were pretty much bump on a log.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even seeing my favorite,
Steely Dan never toured until the last 15, 20 years.
But I think they kind of knew better. And it's
they're we're just two nerds. Who's going to want to watch us?
And reproducing this music live is a big, big
deal. Yeah.
So there was a lot of that going on for us. We're let's just focus on somebody's gonna hear this and go, this needs to be on the radio, or this needs to be developed, or whatever it was. They needed to get excited about it. And for us, that was about get 10 to 12 killer tunes, no filler.
Yeah.
And that's what
no
we
piss tracks.
Right.
I call them piss tracks. You know, like, hey, we can go take a piss on this song.
Totally right. And in finding Jason Faulkner, he agreed. He had been in and out of his own projects that were kind of spinning their wheels.
Now, is this true? You actually answered an ad when you were going to USC early on and met him back then, and then didn't start working with him? You were going to college?
That's correct. I was a summer of my sophomore year in college.
What were you going to school for?
Music.
Music.
I was at USC for music.
Oh, wow.
Now, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I knew I wanted to further understand it. I just wanted to develop what I had started to learn in high school. And things like film scoring and even engineering and orchestration fascinated me. And I knew nothing about an orchestra.
Right.
I could tell you what the instruments were, but I couldn't, none of the specifics. And in general, classical music had never interested me, but I was fascinated when I would hear like a good film score or something. So while I didn't know what I wanted to do with music, I was like, okay, let's go to college. That's what it's for. Just go immerse yourself in it and figure it out. Well, what happened is I went in there not with the intention of being the next Chick Corea or Herbie Hancock, but I was just such a jazz maniac. Basically, my rock and roll and pop roots as a kid reinfected me, re-inspired me.
Right.
While I'm in the middle of college. And by my sophomore year, I'm calling up local bands and going, you need a keyboard player, and it needs to be me. Because I started, that was right at the 84, 85 is right when like Jane's Addiction starts happening.
Oh, yeah.
Punk is still alive and well here in LA. I'm very much immersed in that. So, it's, I'm like...
What are you into? Are you into like Fear, X, stuff like that, or even Circle Jerks?
I'm
Or
a big TSOL fan.
Oh, yeah?
Orange County seemed to have some amazing stuff happening. They were maniacs. I still loved Black Flag.
Of course.
I mean, Dead Kennedys being from San Francisco.
Amazing.
There was so many good bands.
Devo? Were you into Devo?
Absolutely.
Devo is like
Devo's just
top 5 for me.
Game changer.
Absolutely.
Well,
I had Jerry on the show. 4 hours.
We still watch and talk about Devo on the Beck bus to this day because their influence is so far-reaching and influential on my generation and everybody that just and so.
Yeah, it goes Kraftwerk, Devo. You know what I mean? Those are the fucking
are big markers,
and
for sure.
Those are the ones that I feel like when you're talking to somebody, it's like, oh yeah, Kraftwerk, and then I go, oh, all right, well, I'm gonna have a great conversation with this guy, know,
right,
and same with Devo.
And then, so for me, and being a little keyboard guy at the time, you had bands like Tears for Fears or Thomas Dolby who took Kraftwerk, Devo, and had these really intricate, heavily arranged pop songs.
Yeah.
In the middle of all that.
Yeah, even Talking Heads.
Talking Heads.
Talking Heads. I hated them growing up, and now I absolutely fucking go crazy for them. I worship Talking Heads, man.
They're one of my, it's like them, Replacements, and REM, Husker Du are like some of my favorite American bands ever.
Right. Yeah, Talking Heads, it just blew right over my head younger, because I think I was exposed to the wrong era. It was the
have lots of eras.
Yeah, the MTV era, though, with the fucking video where he's the guy,
In the big suit.
Yeah, the big suit. And
I like the Speaking in Tongues album, but that's kind of where they very much change after that. And I frankly wasn't as interested in what they were going for at that time, and that's fine. But the Fear of Music, Remain in Light era,
unbelievable.
It's just like
it's unbelievable.
It's and every time I come back to it, every 9 months to a year, I have my head blown away again.
Yeah, I go down to the rabbit hole and watch it on YouTube. There's that Black and White concert. I think it's like maybe 77 or something, and I'm just kind of like, wow, what the? I mean, it is straight up like an assault of dance rock.
Yep.
And you can't even believe the grooves going on.
The grooves are so deep, and there's something magical that happens when, my God, it's so weird to say because I'm going to sound like elitist or prejudiced or something, but you've got these white bread East Coast art students
absolutely
getting a hold of James Brown in Parliament.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that is a combination that not only happened then, but it happened a lot in
Joy Division.
70, oh my God.
God damn, man, that's just dance rock. It's like a pulse.
Yeah, I love when that happens.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love when intellectuals get a hold of heavily emotional, urbanized music, but don't kill it. They don't water it down. They reappropriate. Oh my God, one of my heroes and employers, Beck, dear friend.
Yeah,
he's done that many times, and he's done it elegantly as hell.
Yep.
And I still stand on the sideline and go, holy shit, he did it again. It's great fun to accompany him.
I worship that guy.
Oh man,
I've seen him so many times. I think Sea Changes is an absolute straight masterpiece. I saw that show 2 nights at the Exploratorium there, whatever it's called.
San Francisco.
Yeah, next door there. And
I had just left the road, so I would not have been part of that ensemble.
Yeah, I'm dying to talk to him because the first night it was the most bizarre show I've ever seen. And then I read later on that he said, and it's probably a lie, but he didn't say, but somebody said that he had tried acid his first time because he was solo up there and he had a bunch of instruments and he would just walk up to one and kind of look at it for like 5 minutes and you're like, what's going on here? And then he'd throw one on and he'd just do like, put your hands on the wheel, and you're like, what the fuck is happening here?
To the best of my knowledge, and this is neither here nor there, he's never dabbled with hallucinogens.
Exactly.
I can sincerely say, what you see is what you get live. He is, on the one hand, he is the simplest, most down-to-earth person, artist, creator, and on the other hand, he's hands down one of the most complex, intricate, multifaceted creators I've ever worked with. So whatever version you guys got,
whatever it was unbelievable.
It was legit.
Even back when you get into early Beck, man, I mean, Beer Can, all that stuff, man, before the Mellow Gold record, those EPs, I mean, we're talking, I think he's like 16 or something. We're talking straight genius, you know? I mean, that was early, just like 4-track sounding badass, like just street rock hip hop, like it's so bizarre, He
tells me about how when he moved to New York for a year, he became friends with another anti-folk scene guy named Roger Manning.
Oh yeah.
And that's the whole reason I use my full name, is because that Roger Manning got signed to SST and he had a career.
Yeah.
People kept getting us confused, especially since we both knew Beck.
Wow.
So I changed that's why I used my full name. It got way too confusing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right, so you're tracking some demos, and then do you get a industry lawyer, an entertainment lawyer, or how do you get? Is it like a Peter Paterno that's shopping your shit around?
His name was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Our manager, Chris Coyle, bless his heart. I mean, he believed in lots of the projects Andy and I were involved in from Beatnik Beach and even before. And he, knew his handful of connections he'd made over the years. So as soon as we had, I think, our very first 4-song demo tape, he started hustling down in Los Angeles with music attorneys.
Yeah, and what was on the demo?
Okay, let's see if I can remember. So it was King is Half Undressed.
A great song.
This is gonna be a stretch.
It's all good.
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to.
I'm just curious.
No, you know what? I probably could remember if I had Belly Button in front of me.
Yeah.
That is why I might have been on it.
Let's check it out right here. I got
Baby's
it here.
Coming Back might have been.
Baby's Coming Back. Oh yeah, that is what. So the hits.
Oh, we tried to.
You had the hits on
forward.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and those were some of the songs we wrote early on that we were like, they instilled a sense of hope and confidence in us that we could do this. And my gosh, even earlier than that, no. One of our first tapes that we played for John Carter at Atlantic, who took a leap of faith in us after Beatnik Beach broke up, was The Man I Used to Be.
Oh yeah.
Bed Spring Kiss.
Wow.
And then 2 songs that did not happen for the record.
Wow.
One was one that we demoed called Deliver, which made it onto the box set, the box retrospective, but it was never developed for a record. And another one was a very obvious attempt at us being more kind of pop radio. And fortunately for us, the A&R guy, who was not just pop radio oriented.
Yeah.
Unlike many
Yeah.
current A&R men, this was a guy that had cultivated and nurtured and developed acts for the past 15 years at Capitol and Atlantic. And he reignited Tina Turner's career. He was responsible for a lot of the motels.
Wow.
There's other.
So
stuff
he's into art. He was in the art part.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He could sit there and go, "There's a craftsmanship happening here, and I think I can still sell it to Middle America. There's something about it that I think we can still." So he was that guy, and we were very lucky to have his attention. And we had a brief window where he said, "Before I, basically drop this all together and say bye-bye to you guys, and you're never going to hear from me again, I will entertain if you've got some kind of plan B."
Yeah.
And the plan B was me and Andy going, "We're going to start a group on our own. Here's 4 songs. Check them out." And fortunately for us, those first 2 songs, Man I Used to Be and Bed Spring Kiss, he flipped out.
Wow.
He loved them. He saw the potential in them. The third one was a waltz. He said, "I don't like waltzes. Don't ever play me a waltz again." And the fourth song was the very obvious pop attempt. And he said, "This isn't who you guys are.
Wow.
Don't try to do this."
That's killer that he saw that. Don't try to do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he got it, and he said, "You give me another 4 songs like these first 2 with this air of sophistication and sing-along potential, and we can talk."
Wow.
And that's what we did.
It's amazing that these type of records get made probably every 10 years or so. One being Taylor's band, Rooney. And we can go back every 10 years, and there's always a great A&R guy who goes, "This is what I'm into. This is going to be fucking big." And it never seemed to hit until Weezer, really. And it's quite strange. Weezer, fantastic songs, fantastic band, huge cult following. But when I really listened to, Jellyfish, you could see Weezer, of course, grabbing a lot of that, Of course, in their other influences too, but it's wild to think all the work that gets put into records, knowing that how is this going to be big? You know what I mean? Because I think it's great that a guy signed you guys, probably knowing that it's not going to be huge,
Yeah, it's always a tough call. I mean, it's very interesting. Post Jellyfish, you had bands like Bare Naked Ladies and Ben Folds doing quite well.
Oh, that's right.
Both admitted Jellyfish fans. I know Ben. I never met Bare Naked Ladies, but they gave shout-outs to us on numerous occasions. And it was almost like, it's that other kind of thing about timing and so forth.
Yeah.
And there are so many factors.
Do you think the outfits had a lot to do with, like, maybe not, because you guys were like the floppy hats and stuff, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously. So for me, that was always about. We from day one, it wasn't us to walk out in jeans and a t-shirt and with a guitar strapped to our back. We're the singer-songwriter guys. Take us seriously. You don't have to smile at our shows, and that's not. It's not what we were about. It was always so much fun to us, and having fun was something we took very seriously.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans want their artists very one-dimensional. They don't want these complex multi-level. It's like, what level can I understand you on? They want a product. They want something that's very easy to digest and absorb. And so we always used to joke that if you were a Jellyfish fan, you were either all in or you weren't. There wasn't no middle ground Jellyfish fan.
Yeah.
You either totally hated us, didn't get at all where we were coming from, or you absolutely got where we were coming from 100% visually, in terms of videos, photography, and all of our music and album art. And very often you got in the van and like a deadhead, you followed us from town to town.
I did that.
We had fans like that.
I did that.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It was crazy. I
God.
saw you guys in Fresno at the Cadillac Club.
Yes.
There's probably 30 people there.
Fresno.
And it was on the Spilt Milk tour. And it was me and my buddy Fletcher, Jeff Fletch, who played with your brother, Chris.
Nice.
And we're at the Warfield. You're playing the fucking Warfield, massive. And then there we are, Fresno Cadillac Club, But you're right there, man. It was like, I was so into it. It was like HR puffing stuff, it was psychedelic, almost the look and the show and the vibe and the outfits, but the tunes, it was just so next level, you know?
Yeah, and you know, again, visually, if a person was on the fence about us and, you know, they wanted something more tough and raw, and we kind of, you know, touched that side of you that emotionally didn't want to be touched.
Yeah,
you know,
the feminine side.
the feminine side, thank you. Then you were just going to use the clothes as an excuse anyway. It's like, no, not having it.
I don't like these guys.
It's too silly.
Yeah.
Now, I get that, and that's fine. Ultimately, it's not for you. That was never something that dissuaded me. Whether we're talking about Jane's Addiction or a band like Celebrity Skin or one of our biggest influences, of course, Red Cross.
Yeah.
These were all our peers, and we all dressed up, and we all enjoyed a theatrical aspect. We all grew up on Alice Cooper. We all grew up on the Banana Splits.
Right.
Now, see, for me in that generation, to say the Banana Splits and the Monkees in the same sentence as Led Zeppelin and Queen, they're not diametrically opposed.
Right.
That all is one flow of brilliant heaven.
Yeah. Well, I think, to me, if you didn't have the songs,
The suite, for
and I
crying out
saw
loud.
the outfits, I'd be like, these guys are clowns, you know? Like, just in my mind. But the
Right.
songs were so fucking good, I didn't care what you wore. You know what I mean? But I also had a fantasy of, like, imagine if these guys were four just street dirtbags.
Totally.
Like,
Sea hags.
Yeah, sea hags, but with these tunes. I mean, to me, it would just have been like, oh my God, man, how do these guys do this?
No,
you know?
totally. And you're right. But again, that would have been
Boring to you guys.
Well, it wouldn't have been who we were.
Right, exactly.
We weren't rough and tough motorcycle riders.
Yeah.
Now, we had some of our heroes and guys we admire we loved the Sea Hag.
Yeah.
You know, one of the most flattering moments in our early days of our career was when we had heard a rumor via MTV or some interview that the Black Crowes liked us.
Wow.
And we're like, you must have your information wrong, because they are the rough and tough blues rockers,
shooting junk and
or whatever.
Yeah,
They've
real
got
deal.
their fucking streetwise urgency, as you know, Robert Hilburn would say.
Yeah, Andy worked with the Black Crowes.
Yes, he did eventually.
On the Amorica record, I
Yep.
believe it was, and those other sessions, and that's the high plateau of the Black Crowes era.
So when we found out that rumor was in fact true, for them, yes, the visuals might have been not in line with their aesthetic.
Yeah.
They saw the art. They appreciated the art. They appreciated what we were putting forward. And they were like, we're going to help these guys get more the attention they deserve. And
Right.
they brought us out for 6 freaking weeks.
Awesome.
At the peak of their success, they could have brought out anybody.
Yeah, on the second record.
Oh, it was well, no, this was still touring the first album.
Oh, they were touring the first record
Yeah.
they brought you out? I thought it was the second record. Wow. Right
Yeah.
when they're just hard to handle, exploding. Yeah, fuck.
Exactly right.
And
it
what are
was-
you guys out doing? Clubs?
These were all theaters and small sheds.
Wow.
In fact, the tour started in 3 cities in Florida, including Jacksonville. I think the tour started in Jacksonville, and we were just shitting bricks. We were like, the Black Crowes may like us, and
Yeah.
we believe them.
Yeah.
But because this is happening, this is for real. You know, somebody pinch us. But there's no way a bunch of, you know, Leonard Skinner Southern rockers
Right.
are gonna be 100% on board, and we're gonna. You better put the chicken wire screen up. in
Yeah,
front of
yeah.
us like
The
they had in
Blues Brothers screen, yeah.
because we're gonna get beer bottles thrown at us all night. And to this day, those 3 Florida shows were some of the best of the tour.
Wow.
I don't, you know, this I just keep getting assumptions and
Yeah.
prejudices blown out of the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it couldn't have gone better. In fact, that tour of 6 weeks, I would say of all the shows, 2 or 3 were lukewarm.
Yeah.
You could tell the audience really wasn't, you know, they were like, okay, let's move on. Let's
Right.
see the next band.
But you guys had
But the rest of it was incredible.
you had a video on MTV at the time, though.
Yep.
So, yeah, so you're not totally unknown.
No, but we were winning fans over, which was the awesome, incredible part. And I you know, can't thank those guys enough. Jason and I just ran into Chris Robinson at a rehearsal room in New York City, rehearsing with Beck for some upcoming dates.
Yeah.
And Chris was there rehearsing his group. and we literally ran into each other in the entryway of this rehearsal studio. Neither of us had seen each other for well over 10 years. And
Wow.
we broed out as if nothing had changed. It was this beautiful, magical reconnection, and just to like look back on it and go, my God, we've all actually been earning a living in this business.
Yeah, like 25 years, you know? That's just so, like, I look at Spilt Milk and I'm thinking 23 fucking years ago, man. And I'm still, I got it on vinyl. I talk about it all the time. Like, 23 years to me is like 8 years or something. I'm like, yeah, this record, you know?
It only feels like 8 years.
And then it just freezes you up when you look at the year. You go, holy shit, man.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
So he's shopping the demo around, and do you get like any kind of bidding war, or does it boom? Somebody jumps on it.
So Carter from Atlantic said, "Let's make a record," and he started to fund that.
Unbelievable.
And get that happening. We get halfway through the album, and he gets let go.
Yeah, which is the curse of death.
Which is always. You hear, I can't tell you how many stories I like. So we're like, okay, that's it. Our little dream is now about to vanish.
Right.
But our manager and our producer, engineer, Albie Galut and Jack Joseph said, hell no.
Jack Joseph did that record?
He engineered it.
Wow. He did the fucking Gray Black Crows record. That guy's amazing.
And then he co-produced. He had his influence continued to be more and more felt. So by the second record, he's co-production.
Wow.
But Albie was producing the album and brought Jack, and he had just started working with Jack and kind of was taking a chance on him.
Wow.
And lucky for all of us, he did. And it was a marriage that just, gave and gave and gave. It was the perfect situation for realizing all that. And the two of them said, along with our manager, we have over half of a great record done. Let's go sell it. And that's when we started shopping to publishing companies, record companies, and the Dog and Pony Show began. Which again, was
so in the middle of the
flattering.
Atlantic deal, your guy gets fired, and do they say you're out and you have the record and you can go shop it around, half the record?
I don't remember the timing, but something where, let's put it this way, we were eating plenty of nice dinners.
Wow.
And talking to plenty of
people
about publishing and record company stuff.
And where do you end up?
We ended up at Virgin's new label. So it was essentially Virgin.
Yeah.
And they had just reignited their
V2?
No, this was Charisma.
Oh, Charisma.
They reignited.
Wow, I signed a demo deal with them. Was it Aaron Jacobus? Who was it over there?
It was Jeff Aroff and Jordan Harris.
Oh, Jordan.
And he signed Imperial Drag after Jellyfish broke.
Oh, yeah. Wow,
So-
incredible.
No, those people, again, these are people that I have so much to thank for giving, very often not giving me and my collaborators one chance, but several chances.
Right.
So that's what happened. So we eventually went with them, finished the record on their dime, signed a publishing deal that afforded us to not have to go back to work at the hardware store.
Right.
Or in my case, Haight-Ashbury Music, where I worked for over a year and a half.
Oh, wow. Wow. You were working there?
Yep.
So you sign with them and you finish the first record and you go out, you tour with the Black Crows and stuff. Do you do
World
any
Party, open for them.
Oh yeah, who else?
Let's see. I'm not recall. Those were the major tours.
Right. And you did a few videos. You did like 4 vids.
We did 3, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken. Yeah.
And then you come home. Jason leaves the band and you guys are getting ready to do Spilt Milk.
We
and,
jump right into demos for Spilt Milk.
Right. And are you living in LA at the time?
No, we are still in San Francisco. And Andy had moved even further north towards Petaluma in a town called Cotati. That's where Tom Waits had his studio.
Yeah.
Prairie Sun.
Out there at Prairie Sun, amazing.
And it was
Mooka.
Yes, we actually had some grassy fields and country outside of Andy's window. I stayed in the city, had a wonderful. My brother and I and my girl at the time lucked into this incredible Columbus district, 3rd story, little Victorian flat.
Badass.
And I don't know if there was rent control or what, but it was like we lucked into this place. We weren't even going to look there because we were like, we can't afford anything here,
Yeah.
and nothing's going to be available.
Yeah.
Kind of like Silver Lake now or something. And we lucked into something. So I had this romantic year of every night falling asleep, seeing Coit Tower out of my window.
Man,
It was just
such a great neighborhood. There,
so
right?
romantic.
North Beach.
And every day I would write and I'd bring Andy ideas, but we would demo up at his house.
So is that how Russian Hill comes about?
Yeah.
So what makes him land up there?
He had spent some time up there with his girlfriend long before any of this had taken off.
Yeah.
And I think he just fell in love with it, the quiet. And so he's like, well, now that I have a little bit of money, I actually want to live there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to live there,
So does he build a studio or something?
No, we just worked out of one of his rooms like this.
Right.
And it was, he bought a computer that allowed us to have some of the very, very, very first sequencing software. So imagine super, super primitive Pro Tools with no audio. It was all MIDI.
Wow.
And we had our collection of keyboards and samplers and just went to town. And then we said, well, we currently don't have a guitar player and a bass player. Well, we had my brother. My brother started out with us, and in the middle
Chris.
of demoing, said, "You know what? I'm not in for the long haul." So he started out the demo process with us, and then we.
It's so weird. He leaves a band that has a record deal.
Well,
Like that's everybody's dream.
I could fill in the gaps. In fact, Taylor just finished the I Can't Believe It's Finally Out Jellyfish biography.
Yeah.
So and everything.
I've been dying to see that. I haven't seen it
It's all
yet.
talked about in there, including Chris's journey in the band,
Right.
which was incredible. It's an incredible little story in and of itself, because my brother was the least trained musically of all of us.
Yeah.
And he held his own amidst these full-on music geeks, and the world's none the wiser because he's up there harmonizing with us. He's helping Andy lead the left side of the stage with entertaining the fan, and he was one of the more animated, just visual, members of the group.
Right.
Because again, it was who he was naturally as a person. He was very extrovert that way.
Yeah.
And it was this really incredible, beautiful gift, as well as very, very challenging thing to be brothers in a band band that from the get-go had its personal internal problems.
Yeah.
So
between you and Andy,
everybody,
right?
The whole dynamic of all four of us was challenging. So imagine a band experiencing all these incredible things for the very first time. Oh, guys, we're flying to England and playing King is Half Undressed on the most popular children's television show.
Yeah.
They can't wait to see you in your clothes and sing that song. None of us have ever been to England. None of us have ever, we're performing one of our own songs. So first time mind-blowing experiences like that.
Are you getting some egos in the band? Like, even though you're not selling big yet, is it like, hey, I'm the fucking guy? What's going on there?
Well, egos, as you may know from just any relationship, and it doesn't have to be band members, although that's like any relationship, that's where they rear their head the quickest. People's egos are what they are and kind of in place well before success.
Yeah.
They only get magnified and exaggerated and can reach scary proportions when success, fame, money come into the picture. Now, we didn't really have any of that. We had bits and pieces and tastes of it.
Well, even under a small microscope, it starts to get, grow.
I always joke, had there been band therapists at the time, which there actually actually went to band therapy for my second band, Imperial Drag, and I'm not joking. It was an incredibly beautiful and enlightening experience for everybody. Ultimately, we decided not to stay together as a group, Imperial Drag, but I think we're all very thankful that the record company paid for band therapy.
Well, a lot of people crown Metallica, for that some kind of monster, and I can't believe what a whipping these guys get for anything they do. And it's like, are you out of your mind? They're banned for 33 years. But the balls to show a therapist and to document it and make it a theater release is so cool, because that was something that had never been, in my eyes, ever done. And now you're telling me Imperial Drag did it. But to have a therapist come into a band, because it's like four guys,
Well, it's four, it's absolutely four intimate relationships going on. So you imagine a one-on-one with your sweetie, and you should extrapolate that exponentially, and that's absolutely what's going on. And
also, artists are lunatics already.
Well, they're highly creative, and they wear their emotions on their sleeves.
Yeah,
you show up if you have a office job that you sincerely love, guess what? You don't necessarily, to be good at that and excel at that and get along with your coworkers, you don't have to bring 100% of your emotional body to work.
Not at
You
all.
can save that for your family at home or weekend barbecues with your chums, whatever it is. When you show up to be a successful band member, artist, any kind of creative organization, you have to show up with your, dare I say, emotional luggage.
Yeah.
That emotional luggage is it's your sound palette. It's what you draw and paint from. It's what you write your songs from.
Yeah, you got
your
to split
heartbreak is
yourself
where your
open.
joys.
All honesty.
All honesty. And so with that powerhouse coming from 4 or more people at any given time, to have the wisdom, personal evolution to keep that in check, to keep it manageable, to keep it in a healthy, emotionally literate way, is a challenge to ask, even the Bonos of the world, the seasoned professionals.
Yeah.
It's no mystery. We get to peer into the making of the White Album, and you see your heroes Paul and John, who were only in their late 20s.
Yeah.
They were figuring out how to be in touch with their emotional body, and it had allowed them to write the brilliant songs that it did, but it also provided for a highly dysfunctional interaction. That's all that was going on in Jellyfish.
That's
just
it.
more dysfunctional interpersonal reaction that ultimately we decided was too challenging to move forward in.
Right.
And so for the mental and emotional health of all of us, let's call it a day. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. The book elaborates a little bit, but you're not going to get any soap dishing any more than that.
Yeah. I've been doing this show for 4.5 years, and I've never been into the dirt slinging thing because I enjoy having all different members on. It would be like if I had you on and then I had Andy on, you know what I mean? He said this and that. That's not what it's about. And I played music so long that I understand things implode, and later on you go, "Oh, that was stupid." You know what I mean?
Basically.
You're like, "Yeah, that was just dumb,"
And the fact that we are always evolving. And had I met you 20 years ago, we would have been 2 different people talking to you. We're sitting before each other today with all of life's education that you bring to this conversation that I bring, and you can't. It's to hold on to blame, resentment, any of that is literally an illusion, because those people aren't who they are currently.
Yeah.
And any of us are only ever acting to the best of our consciousness, whatever level of conscious evolution we're at, awareness that we're at.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of forgiveness has to come. And if anything, I'm saying all these things, and I still wish now, with all the things that we all know individually, I'd love a time machine.
Yeah.
Let's go back and try it again, guys.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you we could get through 90% of those hurdles.
Yeah,
Being
absolutely.
who we are now as people.
Do you talk to Andy at all?
No, it's been, we've both been happier, it would seem, leading separate lives and not having any kind of artistic, collaborative. We've had email correspondence around business matters, and it's been very civil and cordial and respectful. And I know that, prior to the book coming out, I was privy with the author to basically get previews of what he was about to say or what his interviews with different band members were like. So I could basically speak in my own defense about my comments, but just kind of get an idea of where things were headed. And not only from Andy, but from all the guys, it was just nothing but, respectful, well thought out commentary. And that includes the challenging memories. The hard pills to swallow, and wow, do I really want to relive that uncomfortable moment for all of us?
Right.
So.
What were some of the uncomfortable moments? Was it just battles over songwriting, or what were the battles? Just personalities?
Yeah, all of the above. That's the thing. I don't even have. For me to actually recount that, that's what I remember. Finally going through the book and going, wow, this is anything but salacious, because it's so kind of matter of fact. The challenges that were before us were, and I'm not belittling or diminishing our experience, but they were fairly average.
Yeah.
There's nobody sleeping with anybody else's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or
the band wasn't even big or anything. You know what I mean?
There were no supermodels that were coming in and out of the picture that people disappear for weeks at end with, and some lost drug stupor haze, lost weekend. There's none of that. You know, when you'd watch the VH1
behind the
musics. Yeah. Sorry,
it'd be
you're not
snoring.
getting anything.
It'd just be like music nerds nerding out. Actually,
Exactly
it's like a nerd battle.
The funnest part, the most exciting parts for me reading the book are memories about something that inspired Andy and I. We'd see a band or we would discover some record together, and we couldn't wait to go try to do something that cool at his studio.
Right.
Well, that's
yeah.
A few musicians are going to enjoy that chapter, but that's about it.
Right. So you're demoing up in Katati. You're putting together Spilt Milk. Was there a game plan? Like, let's make this thing sonically like fucking next level? Because I put it on right now when you came in, and I can't date the record. There's no dated reverbs or gates or drum snare sound. You know what I mean? It just goes on and it sounds fucking great, man. So what was the plan? First of all, who produces that and where do you do it at?
Well, first of all, I have to say to you, that's a huge compliment that you don't hear a timeline on.
I don't. Do you? I mean, because
that's what we were going for, and hats off to Jack and Albie who. Basically this album turned into a 4-way production between Andy, myself, and the two of them.
And what studio?
We did it primarily at Shanae Recording Studio on Lancashire, which I don't know to what extent is still a functioning studio.
Well, I never heard of it.
It was Bill Shanae's personal place, but it was in the day. It was fully. I mean, it's a state of the art room.
Right.
It's not as large as some of the
24 track.
Yeah.
And
everything you want.
And you guys are tracking everything. There's like live, and John Bryan's playing on it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's quite a lengthy conversation because we were never a 4-piece band that went in and recorded all the basics in 1 week and then did all the overdubs in another week.
How did you do it?
We hired Lyle Workman to play track guitar with us. First of all, he was another Bay Area buddy from back in the day, even as early as the Bourgeois Tag days. And he demoed a lot of the stuff with us as well, so he was already ready to go. And the three of us tracked a lot of the basics together. I would say most of the basics.
Who was playing bass? Just keyboard bass?
There was no bass until we brought in Tim Smith to track the bass with us as well. So I have to take that back because my memory is failing me on this. Tim did end up tracking, so we did have 4-piece with Lyle. It was the guitar player is the person that's rotating. That's why I space. So I guess you could say the core band was Tim Smith on bass, who moved out from Atlanta to begin working with us, Andy and myself. And then Lyle tracked most of the record. Second half of the tracking was with John Bryan on guitar.
Right.
So that was the rhythm section that recorded the record in 2 phases.
And how are you tracking it? Are you tracking it one thing at a time, like drums, and then?
No, that would be like Jeff Lynne ELO style.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get the spontaneity of band interaction, and we surrounded ourselves with musicians who could do that, who understood playing off of each other and the advantages of that.
Was Andy playing a regular drum kit or the cocktail kit that he played live?
He was playing a gigantic kit with, I can't even remember how many drums, and on some of those songs he would just hit 4 of the drums, but he wanted to have all those pitches and tones available to him at any given moment. And he and Jack, we all enjoyed sculpting different drum tonalities from song to song. He's My Best Friend is a very tiny cocktail kit type of sound. Fan Club is a giant Roger Taylor drum type of sound, and everything in between. And so you've got that attention to detail from song to song. So we began tracking in April of '92, and the album was finished being mixed at the end of September of '92.
Who mixed it?
Jack.
Oh, Jack. Mm-hmm. God damn, this thing sounds good. It's so crazy.
It's his best work, in my opinion.
So how many months were you working on it?
Well, recording it April through September.
Oh, wow.
Including mixing. We had a few weeks of pre-production rehearsing us all with Albie and Jack before then. But most of the album was realized in Andy's bedroom with the two of us demoing up everything, because it was at that stage that we knew 90% of these ideas are working for us. We just need
To hear it with the band.
we need to hear it with the band. But we knew, technology was such that if you knew how to halfway program a decent drum machine groove and manage your orchestrations on your sampler, and then we spent a ton of time arranging our harmonies prior to going in the studio.
Wow.
Because it would have taken too long.
Yeah.
So
How were you coming up with those harmonies? Were you guys just singing them onto the 8-track and just layering them?
We would have a concept in mind based on all of our influences, from the Beach Boys to Queen to Fleetwood Mac to the Carpenters, all of our favorite vocal groups.
Yeah.
And then you just, we'd had enough education to, we were used to transcribing drum parts and piano solos and stuff. So transcribing people's harmonies was, I'm not going to say easy work, but we knew how to do it.
Yeah.
So you would put yourself in there and you'd do your homework, and it would take some time, and then you'd go for something that was inspired by you want something to sound large and operatic, you do it this way. You want something to sound intimate and very kind of Simon and Garfunkel, you do it this way.
Wow.
We'd go for something and both look at each other and go, is that kicking ass or not yet? Have we missed the boat? Let's try it again. And at that time, for Spilt Milk, we had the equipment to help us. We could multi-track our voice and get that kind of juicy, thick, stacked chord sound. But we demoed. It was one of the most, for me, that's the most challenging part of making the record. At that time for Spilt Milk,
Mapping it out,
and just the two of us, and not because there's a lot of experimentation and a lot of failing, a lot of looking at each other and going, that experiment did not work. We know we can get it, but it may take another 2 weeks to figure it out. Here we go.
That fucking long.
Every
I get it.
It was a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and then the machinery was so Frankenstein, it would take forever back then.
Much lower than now.
Remember ADATs?
Sure. Yeah.
Like ADATs, you'd have to wait for the next one to sync up and shit. And
we were on an 8-track cassette.
Yeah.
So it was a little slower than ADAT even, but so we demoed from September of '91, right after we got off the Black Crowes tour. Promoting Belly Button, through February of '92. So that's 6 months. So almost 6 months solid of demoing Spilt Milk. We took off 6 days a week, 11 to 7 at Andy's house.
Up in Katati?
Yeah.
And you're just sleeping on the couch or something?
Some nights I did. No, mostly I drove back and forth to the city.
Holy shit.
I wanted to sleep in my own bed, and I wanted to give Andy and his girl their space. We'd been staring at each other for 8 hours. We both needed to take a breather.
Wow.
Crammed into our little room.
Wow. You guys had to be going nutty in there, right? Not even knowing if you had anything.
There were days like that, absolutely.
Yeah.
There were days like that where we were like, we're not getting it anywhere near as good as Belly Button.
Wow.
And we're losing it.
That's crazy.
And we don't have a guitar player and a bass player.
Yeah.
We're fucked. What's going to happen?
Here's the thing. After you demo for 6 months, then you go track the record. Are you losing your mind how great it's sounding? Or to you, because I talk about this a lot, when I'm tracking my own stuff, I always think, it doesn't sound like my heroes. Did you think, wow, this is sounding fucking like Queen, The Game?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you aspire to something, but at the same time, you are hoping that you are staying true to, more importantly, am I carving out an original sound here?
Right.
For the sake of our own art and for the audience? Are we saying what we want to say while the inspiration from our predecessors is inspiring us and kicking us in the butt to do better and better work?
Right.
And so it's the most challenging job you'll ever love and hate, right? Because there were days where we were like, just beyond ourselves with depression, going, we're not getting it, we're missing the boat. It is not as good as Queen, The Game.
Wow.
It's not as good as, the Smile album by the Beach Boys. It's not as good as, and we believed, and it's not arrogance, we believed we were capable of, we have this affinity, this talent, and we believed with proper practice and determination and focus, we could achieve things as great as those things that inspired us.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, the songwriting is fucking incredible. You know, it really blows me away.
Thank you so much.
When you think about a couple dudes that went in and for 4 years wrote some insane songs and then didn't work together again, you know? It's so crazy how good the songs are. They're like, you know, songwriting 101, just massive hooks, killer harmonies, great lyrics, you know, all of it all in one. And then the instrumentation and the sounds. The whole thing is just perfect, you know?
That's all we ever wanted, and that's what, in those very formative years, and then to this day, it's what continues to inspire me, and I know inspired Andy, and that's where we met up. We wanted to all we wanted to do was continue in the tradition of our heroes and just be another group of songwriters that were contributing to this great legacy of quality material, all the way back to, you know, the Gershwin brothers and Cole Porter and Burt Bacharach and these people. I mean, and the list is so much longer than that.
Yeah.
So by virtue of that, we were constantly, our personalities were such that we kept raising the bar and aspiring and not settling. And then piled on top of that, or complicating things, were this kind of self-imposed pressure. And, it was fear-based, and I don't have to explain this to you. I think you'll relate. So many of our friends growing up got signed to major labels, had a first record, even might have had a hit, and it all fizzled out within months or weeks. The A&R guy gets dropped. One of the band members overdoses. The record company folds. Name it.
And then they were completely done. As that is almost the curse of a musician, because then they're done because they got into the machine, and then they don't realize what they did music for to start with, the love of music.
Right.
And also there's that whole thing of like walking around town and people going, oh, they failed. And it's like, yeah, but we tried and we got a record deal. We got further than anybody that you know. You know what I mean? That's not failure. And then people give up on you. You know what I mean?
It's
crazy.
Yeah, you really got to be grounded and self-aware and strong. And so my point in sharing that was that Andy and I very much understood, wow, we've been given this opportunity. Basically, an album is being bankrolled, and that doesn't happen every day. No. And we can't foresee the future, and it may be our last. This may be the one and only record we get to make, or this may be this second album we're making. This may be it. We don't know what's going to happen. So we had this desperation to say. We were so determined to say what we wanted to say.
Everything.
Nobody was going to stand in our fucking way.
Because you can't talk again.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to stand in our fucking way. This is our opportunity. We know what we want to say. You're either on board, you're going to help us say it, or get the fuck off the train, because it's moving at 1,000 miles an hour. And we were really proverbially holding each other's hands, arm in arm, here we go kind of thing. Because it all could be over tomorrow for whatever reason. So that always didn't make us the most pleasant company in the studio, fun-loving, easy-going. Like, no, damn it, we were serious.
Vision. You had vision.
And we had blinders on. We were serious about our art. We were serious about our art.
I'm the same way, man. If we're here for a reason. You know, it always bummed me out when you had the one band member that was like, party, dude, let's get some chicks, party, you know, and after a while,
and that's fine too,
fine.
But in balance.
But the point is...
not why we started a group.
The point is, that comes... But right now we're at work, you know, and they're like, why are you such a dick, bro, man? Like you're taking it so serious. When someone says you're taking it so serious, get the fuck out of here, man.
My response to that is, yes, and?
Yeah, you know what you're going to take serious? Your Burger King job, man. You know, it's crazy.
You're only in your 20s once.
Yeah.
And you only, you know, and the pop arena is certainly back then it was, it's so youth oriented,
super youth oriented,
and blah 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 blah. So we all know. But that is to say that Jellyfish was very much aware of those things and fell prey to some of that pressure, if you will. And
you put the record out, it doesn't do anything, right?
Well, which one?
The second one.
The second one did not get the MTV love or radio attention. Actually, our highest single on our highest single in modern rock was, I believe, Off Spilt Milk with Ghost at number 1. I think it hit number 11.
Yeah.
But that was still, it was riding off of the success of Belly Button.
Right.
None of the other songs charted as high as that. But
in a way, you're a lot like the Black Crowes. Their first record comes out, everybody loves them, and then they put out 2 masterpieces after, and people are gone.
Southern Harmony and Musical Companion.
Unbelievable.
It's one of my favorite rock records to this day.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Especially because of the keyboard work. They really bring in the B3. God. And, I know you got to get going, and I could talk to you for hours, which sucks. But
clearly. It'd be awesome.
The keyboards, to me, means so much to me in music, and it's so funny growing up early on in rock. I'm like, no keyboard players, you know what I mean?
Sure,
we're not Bon Jovi or whatever, you know what I mean?
Dude, when I set out to join my first bands in '86, it was at the height of Replacements, REM, the Smiths, Echo and the Bunnymen, guitar-based music, punk rock,
of course,
and I was a keyboard player going, I don't want keyboard players in the band, but I would love to figure out, I want to kind of be your Eno. Let's figure out a way for my keyboards to color your guitar rock, and I'll kind of be in the background embellishing things. Because I didn't want to be the guy out there with the cape, swinging
the cape,
the 28 guitar. He's like, we were in a very, very much, look, Rick Wakeman and that era of progressive rock absolutely influences me, and I worship it to this day. It's a huge influence on me. At that time, we were still coming out of deconstructing all that, that pomposity and arrogance, and I was more into keyboards as ambience, keyboards as texture and
well, anyway, when I start to hear keyboards, I I'm talking about like the 70s James Brown when he's playing B3. You ever see that footage where he's over on the B3? Then, of course, the Doors, where you get into some clavinet, and also I love the Wurlitzer. And I love all the vintage keys, the look of them, the tan whirly, not the black one. You know what I mean? Those sounds are so fucking rock. But really, Black Crowes, when they bring it in on Sometimes Salvation, I'm like, wow, now that's something. Or Greg Allman, in Allman Brothers. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know how familiar you are with the Imperial Drag record that followed these up in '96, but for me, my assignment to myself was to present keyboards in a rock way that was equivalent to guitar. The role that John Paul Jones played in Zeppelin, bringing keyboards to Zeppelin, is just masterful to me.
It's unbelievable.
And when you go back as a Zeppelin fan, having heard those songs thousands and thousands of times, you actually see how much keyboards there are on the songs that you never thought before, because Jimmy Page's guitar
it's just a blanket. It's the total landscape.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's
trampled underfoot. Bum, 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 but it's just the funk, and then into No Quarter, of course, and then the whole fucking In Through the Outdoor record with the crazy Yamaha, and the guy is so fucking underrated, man. The guy was a genius.
Not for me. He's one of my favorite bass players and keyboard players.
Yeah, right. All right,
sick.
you got to cut out. I want to ask you a question. Fletch wanted me to ask you. How did you get in? 2 questions, then you're out. How did you get involved with the Glenn Campbell doing the interludes on that record, and also Lost in Translation soundtrack?
Yes, two
great things.
I'm so thankful for those moments.
Yeah, right. Little
history.
Bumps in your fucking paycheck.
The Glenn Campbell stuff came about because Julian Raymond and Howard Willing, who were the production engineer team for those records, basically resurrecting Glenn's career in the last few years.
Yeah. his farewell tour.
Yeah, they had me play keys on the first album. I was one of the keyboard players, as well as then promoting that record live. So there were
You went out on the tour?
various showcases. I didn't
Okay,
officially tour the album.
Wow.
And they had more than one keyboard player, but I certainly did a fair chunk of that stuff.
What was he like? Did he any
Glenn?
hands-on? Did he come up to you like, I don't like that?
Barely. There was a music director.
Right, okay.
But Glenn was very personable. We spoke lots. I just simply enjoyed listening to him take solos and be the musician and singer that he is, because
Wow.
even at that age, he was just immaculate, just consummate pro.
He's so cool, right?
Oh my God! It was like, whoa!
Just parts it on the side.
Where did this generation go?
I
man?
know, right?
There's like they just know their shit is just dialed.
Just old school dudes that have seen everything.
Right, and it didn't matter if you were like, a John Coltrane jazzer and you perfected your craft, or you were like you were more of the on the pop leaning side. You perfected your craft. So you could songwrite your ass off, you could sing your ass off, and you could play your ass off.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be a jazz musician to do that. It's like, you want a record deal in this business, you want to own, this genre, this style, get your shit together.
Yeah.
We're not going to let just any Tom, Dick, and Harry through the door because you've got,
There's a reason
you're cute
why,
to look at.
There's a reason why the same guys play on all the records. Because they fucking are great. You know what I mean?
And so that's where the Glenn Campbell, coming to his follow-up record to that, I played on that some more, and then Julian surprised the hell out of me. He was the producer and said, I want this record to have a bit of a psychedelic Sgt. Pepper-y kind of thing. It's kind of Glenn's Sgt. Pepper, so we're taking more chances on this record, we're exploring more genres and songwriting styles. I thought it would be neat to string some of the songs together with interludes.
That's
Do
cool.
you want to have a crack at it? And I was like, hell yes. And that's how those came about.
Badass. Now, Lost in Translation, you know Sophia Coppola, or how'd that happen?
I met her through my friend Brian Reitzel. So Brian Reitzel was another acquaintance from the Bay Area.
Yep.
He played in a band you might remember called Missile Harmony.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Kerr's band it was Tim, anyway, he was in Wire Train.
Yeah.
And then he started Missile Harmony. And Brian
Missile
was
Harmony. I haven't heard that name.
I know.
Dude, it's so weird how you can...
But they were at the Berkeley Square, right?
Yeah, the Berkeley Square. It's weird how you can open fucking things in my mind like, oh my God, the Berkeley Square, dude.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah, great club.
Great club.
So Brian relocated down to Los Angeles, having then joined Red Cross.
Yeah.
At the same time, we were in Jellyfish. So we simply stayed in touch. And over the years, now Brian's wife, girlfriend at the time, I mean, they're still together, but she actually grew up with Sophia up in Sonoma County.
Yeah.
They were best friends. So Brian was already in Sophia's life. Well, as Sophia's career and desires to become a filmmaker took off, Brian was right there on the sidelines going, hey, I've always desired being a music supervisor. Can I help you with your projects?
Right.
And so they were already friends. They already had a relationship. So Lost in Translation happens to be the movie she made where it actually broke for her.
Masterpiece.
And Brian was there doing music supervision. So he brought me in to collaborate on some cues, and that was how that all happened. He did the rest, he music supervised that movie. I was just lucky to be around with him at that time.
So what do you got coming up? What are you doing right now? You going out on tour with Beck, or you were playing with Air for a while and stuff?
Yeah, that was in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
My life these days is still as colorful. I only travel with Beck. I prefer to be in town making music.
Yeah.
Recording. So whether it's my own records or playing on somebody else's, that's what I love to do. I love the record making process. So Beck is the greatest family in the world, and he basically in 2011 called us all back together because we'd all kind of gone off and had done other things in the mid 2000s.
Right.
And he said, I want the Sea Change band back with me.
Unbelievable.
Are you guys available? Are you interested? And all of us were available and interested. And we've all been working with him in some variation, including Jason, since 2011. And we made the Morning Phase record with him, which was my first Grammy.
Wow.
It was such an incredible honor to be recognized on a record I'm so proud to be a part of.
That's amazing.
So currently he's finishing up his next album. It's 2017 is going to be out promoting that record.
We got to get him on this show.
Oh, hell yeah.
Talk about a dream guest, man. I mean, I remember
You have
just
to do it in installments.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw that guy. I've seen him every phase in his career, and that guy fucking blows my mind. I still just can't believe Sea Changes, and of course, Mellow Gold and the big record after it,
That's one of your favorites.
Oh God! Because it came out of nowhere. I mean, you got like Where It's At. I got two turn. You got that, and it's everybody's on, and it's the big summer jam, and it's the thing. And then this thing comes out. The balls of doing Sea Changes. After the balls of that, and he's got record companies going, no, what the fuck? We need Where It's At Part 2. Get out of here.
All the time.
The balls, and then it just happened to hit me at like some time in my life when that came out. It was a foggy winter in San Fran, and it was like, all right.
And when a record connects deeply that way, it's a beautiful thing. We've all
it really is,
had
man.
that experience. So. It's very exciting. I continue to freelance on a huge variety of and the records are mostly pop rock type things.
That's cool.
And then I'm really enjoying doing a lot more string arranging, or orchestral arranging. It was primarily string stuff for people's records.
Yeah.
So tell your friends. Word's kind of getting out there. I'm getting more and more work, and I love it. It's
wow.
Using another part of my skill set.
That's going
really,
back to your
really
college.
Fun. Exactly. Yeah. It's really
cool.
fun for me.
Where can people find you? Twitter? You got a Twitter? You got an Instagram?
No, they
with
can
your
go to
gear?
for arranging. It's rogerarranging.com.
What about any photos of your gear? Instagram? Anything? God damn,
I'm not on there because I simply have not been able to justify the time.
Yeah. All right.
To do it. My girlfriend is rabid for it, and she goes, "You're blowing it. You're missing out and connecting." I go, "Well, that may be, but you find me the free time to do this and network, and I will happily do it." I don't. Anyway, that's why I'm not part. I'm not even on Facebook. I have a friend who kind of keeps the interaction going for me, But so that's what's going. Where can they find me? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm
through your music. Fuck it.
Yeah, but they can go to rogerjosephmanningJr.com, which is my website, which is currently being reworked. That's why when you go there, it's going to look like a graveyard with tumbleweeds.
Right.
I mean, there's still contact info and things there, and I can be reached through there. But probably the best way is rogerarranging.com, because there's a very easy way to send me an email.
Right.
That I will get, whether it's you're just being social or you're interested in collaborating with me for some reason.
Well, thank you for doing the show.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for making that fucking record that's sitting right over there. The cover. One last thing. Who is that girl?
She was just a little actress that the agency sent over that we described what we wanted, and she showed up.
God damn it.
And fortunately, we didn't have to draw tears on, because her and her stage mom, she was basically throwing a temper tantrum that morning.
Wow, man.
She was just a little 5-year-old, and as kids do when they don't get their candy bars, they'll scream into the stratosphere. So the photographer just said, "Now, put the lights up. Take pictures. We're going to get it."
I love it. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, Dean.
I'm glad you made those records.
Yeah, it's been a
made
real
me
pleasure.
very happy. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you later.
Thank you, everybody.